Everyone in this room is a tested and dedicated leader in the field of communications, and I'm glad you're with us for this anniversary summit.
This is Ken with VOD TV, and we're here at the ACA's 20th anniversary summit with Matt Polka. Matt, thank you very much for having us out here.
Nice to have you here.
And what's top of your mind right now?
Well, first, just looking back, we're just so thankful for the last 20 years. Our members have come to Washington to create a voice for themselves as independent video providers and now broadband providers, and we've had the chance to reflect on the last 20 years, all that's been accomplished, all of the hard work and dedication, and this is really a time for celebration. But while we celebrate, we're also looking ahead because there are many more policy battles ahead, whether it's video-related, retransmission consent, impact of regulation on smaller providers, or even into the broadband world. So there's a lot coming down the pike. So it's a day to celebrate, but it's also a day to look ahead and be prepared for the next battle.
Well, and it sounds like things just keep progressing in terms of this conference. You've gone from, 93 people 10 years ago to over 300 today?
Yes, we have, and I think that's just our members and their dedication, as well as our work with them time after time to reiterate and to reinforce how important their relationship with their members of Congress and the FCC are. And that's why we bring congressmen and senators and FCC commissioners to them, and vice versa, because what they do and how successful they are with their business is really largely dependent on the kind of relationship that they have to be able to tell their unique story. It's a story that's not being heard by any larger provider, by any larger company, but it's the smaller providers, and that's a story that needs to be told. So if anything, I think our members have more greatly understood how important it is for them to be engaged in Washington and policy, and that every technological issue that they deal with has some policy component, so you might as well get engaged with the people that are writing the rules.
Well, and it's very impressive the number of congressmen and senators you have here at this event.
We've been very, very pleased, and of course we work with senators from the Commerce Committee, the Judiciary Committee, House members as well, the FCC commissioners, and I think it's a testament to our staff and our team and our members that have really worked very, very hard to distinguish our message, to make sure that it's a serious message, it's a credible one, it's answering the questions that the Commission or the Congress are asking rather than us just simply complaining. And so as a result of that, I think that Congress as well as the FCC has taken greater notice of our organization as a really viable voice, a serious voice, and one that they would want to come and meet our members. And as we encourage that, our members to meet them, they see the value of coming to visit with us. So we're thrilled to have as many as we've had this year.
And we've already heard that there's even talk of things like changing the 92 Regulation Act, right?
Yes, indeed. 92 and the 96 Acts, which really put so many of the regulations in place that we're continuing to deal with. You could look back at the 1992 Act, which re-regulated the cable industry and really gave rise to our association, because we were smaller operators that were really disproportionately impacted by the cost of regulation. So we created this voice. The 96 Act came along, and in 4 years we actually got the regulations from 1992 deregulated and really started to set our footing in Washington. The 96 Act is also important because it took down barriers to allow our members to start developing and deploying broadband, phone services, and other things like that. So it's really led to the future, so we're engaged in it and will continue to be so.
And hearing Commissioner Pai, it sounds like he's very sensitive to the needs of the operators and the cost of regulation.
Yes, coming from a small town in Kansas, in Parsons, Kansas, that'll give anybody a good understanding of what it's like and how different living in a small town and running a business in a small town is compared to Washington, D.C. or New York or Chicago. So we appreciate that perspective, and that's the perspective that all of our members have. And really, to your earlier question, I mean, it's something that they've been able to communicate over the years to say, look, we have fewer customers per mile, we have higher costs per customer, our return on investment is a lot longer than in the city where the large providers have hundreds of thousands of customers over which to spread their regulatory costs. But we're the ones in the small towns where you want to deploy more broadband. And we're already doing it, but you have to understand, Washington, that there is a relationship between your laws and regulations and our ability to deploy more broadband. So we're getting that message across, and having Commissioner Pai here, Senator Heller, Senator Blunt, Congressman Barrow, Congressman Scalise, we're helping to get that message more deeply across.
And it was an interesting anecdote. I wanted to follow up with him on this, but he mentioned one operator who the cost of EAS, that was one of the considerations why they shut down systems. And I'm thinking, well, gosh, if you don't have a system, then how do you have VAS.
Or broadband, or
Right.
video service, or competitive phone service, and that's really the threat. Because if you lose that one wired connection into small towns where there really aren't multiple providers, then you've lost really the broadband future. You really have. So that's the threat, and that's why I know Commissioner Pine and others are concerned about the loss of these smaller companies, but because who's going to provide it? We have our members that are there today that are doing everything they can to deploy more broadband, looking ahead to a future of incredible size and capacity in terms of the broadband service that they provide, and we want to ensure that they have a bright future, but we've got to fight for it.
Well, Matt, I know you will, and the association will, so thank you
Ken.
again.
Nice to have you here. It's
Thanks.
a pleasure. Thanks.